signed three really good young men that fit our system and our program culturally and basketball wise. And very excited about these guys. Obviously, I'm going to always start with Taquavion because he's been committed for, it seems like 5 years now, or the amount of years that I've been here at NC State. And, in today's climate, for a young man to give you a commitment as a sophomore and then 2 or 3 years later still sign a scholarship, that says a lot about him and his family and how loyal he is to NC State. And he is a bucket getter. The kid can just score the basketball. He goes out and plays, loves to play. Tremendous player. It's going to be really good for us. At his size, we'll be able to play some combo guard for us. And I think he's got a chance to be one of those freshmen that can come in and play right away. So really, really excited about it. Super athletic, a major competitor. And then obviously, I'll stay in state because our theme has been we've been able to recruit in the last couple of years some really good players in our state. And Breon, I think, is the steal of our state. And the reason why a lot of people don't know about him is because he's been a two-sport guy for all of his life, and he's decided obviously to concentrate on basketball. And I think you're going to see a really good basketball player just because he'll have a chance to spend all of his time now, working on his skills. He's also a combo guard who can really shoot the basketball. He's tough with that football background, has a little swagger about him. Very excited for him to join our program. Him and his mom are golden. It meant so much for this young man to be able to come to NC State. When I first offered him as a young kid, sit down with him and his family and his dad, who has since passed away. And I think he respected that part of it. A lot of times people forget we offered him a scholarship because we offered it so many years ago. So he's an unbelievable story. That's a great success story. The kid's gonna be really good. He's a winner. And then Ernest Ross, for us, and I give a lot of credit to my staff. They did a tremendous job going into the state of Florida and getting a really good combo forward that can play. Skill, long, athletic, can play, can defend multiple positions, can step out and shoot it. By most publications, he's a top 60 prospect in the country. So we're excited about him. I think he's going to be really good. The great thing about the guys that we recruited lately is they all are gym rats. One of the things I told my coaches is, I want guys who, number one, are committed to the academics, but also they have to love basketball. And I like it because, certainly it's a lot of kids in the country that like basketball, but I want somebody who line up the way we do, and we love basketball. We love being in the gym. And so I've got a lot of self-starters that's coming into the program, along with the 5 freshmen that we added this year who are very good also. So excited and pumped about the class. I know, we're going to send out a press release sometime today about these guys, but you guys don't need press releases. You've already ran with it and know who they are. And you guys should be recruiters too. You got more cell phone numbers than I got of these kids. So excited about it. So I'll take questions. I know there'll be some questions about our current team. I'm excited to talk about them, but I wanted to dedicate my opening to the new guys who are coming in because they deserve it.
Go ahead, Corey.
Hey, Kevin. So wanted to go back to a couple years ago now at this point. I think it was maybe October of 2 years ago or somewhere around that point, the Virginia game for the football team. You had Cam Hayes, Breon Pass, and Traquavion Smith all on campus at the same time. Then they went to primetime with the Pack the exact same weekend. So you gave them the offer at that point. Did you foresee having all 3 of them at that point, or was that just something where you're like, we've got 3 guys from that team CP3, and that could be that kind of stockpile there?
I think, Corey, the biggest thing is I think all of those guys, when they left out of there, were surprised they had an offer. We talked, the staff and I talked about it, is that when these guys came on campus, we could sit them down and have a chance to offer them a scholarship. And I think that went a long way, not only with the kids, but their family. When you think about to Quayon, just remember, Corey, most people didn't even have him in the top 100. And so we were able as a staff to identify him early on, and we offered him a scholarship. And I think that went a long ways with those guys. And same thing with Cam, and same thing with Breon. We took advantage a couple years ago of trying to recruit younger guys starting in the 9th and 10th grade year, get them to campus. Obviously, that you talk about UVA, that football atmosphere, it's been great. When you have a chance for our guys to go over to our student tailgate, have a chance to, meet our staff and come to practice and hang out with our players at the football game, that goes a long ways. And that's one of the things we wanted to do as a staff, to start recruiting some younger guys. And it's paying off now because of that.
And sticking with that kind of theme, staying in the state of North Carolina, you mentioned it before, but you can go back to even Manny Bates and the transformation he's shown, and how much has that kind of, helped you with recruiting players inside of the state of North Carolina, because you now have the number 2 player in the state of North Carolina in this class, and the number 6 player in this class as well.
Yeah, and you know what? As crazy as that sounds, I think we got the number 1 and 2 player in the state of North Carolina. I'm excited.
I'm just going according to ours. Sorry.
I know. I get it. No, and here's what the deal is. I think it's becoming more popular for guys to come to NC State. When I first came here, I had a theory that in-state guys, if they didn't get an offer at one point from Carolina or Duke, I think they would look at it as a disappointment, and they would go outside of the state and sign with another Power 5 team. That's a little different now. And so, we're starting to recruit our state, and it's acceptable now because of guys like Manny Bates to come to NC State and, obviously have a good career. And so I give him a lot of credit, because he's the one who started this kind of for us. Obviously not being a one and done young man, but a guy who came in and has gotten better. And now I think everybody's starting to understand this is a valuable option. Because we've been fortunate enough in the last 3 years to win 20 games, that certainly helps. And we've been very competitive as we continue to build a program and our culture.
Thanks, Kevin.
Go ahead, Chris. Hey, Coach. I wanted to know about, with the short off season and with the way COVID has kind of been gone, and you haven't had time with your guys like that. What do you see out of your freshmen so far, and how ready are they to take serious minutes in 2 weeks when you guys start playing? Especially thinking about somebody like Cam Hayes, who maybe being a floor general at some point. How ready is he to take over on the college level with the short off season?
Yeah, Chris, that's a challenge. And I think every coach around the country who's going to have to play some freshmen at some point. And even in our situation, we could have 1 freshman or possibly 2 freshmen start for us at the beginning of the year. It's a challenge because we don't have exhibition and we don't have scrimmages, and we're going right into playing. And so we've tried to create an atmosphere in practice and the inner squads that we have where we challenge these guys to grow up fast. They don't have the luxury of being freshmen, especially the 2 guys who really have to be ready to play as freshmen is Shaquille Moore and Cam Hayes. Those guys have to come in and play, and they both are going to play some 1 and 2. But I don't have the ability just for them to have growing pains. And we're going to have to live with some of their mistakes early. And that's a tough part about it. But they both have handled everything that I've thrown at them. We've tried to make it competitive. We try to put them in situations where they may fail in practice so they can be successful in the games.
Go ahead, Jared.
Kevin, I know a lot of coaches have talked about wanting uniformity across the board, be it through the league or just the NCAA in general, in terms of testing protocols and things like that. I'm curious, and I know this is a bit of an apples to oranges comparison, but would you like to see the same thing in terms of fans at certain sites? Because understandably so for football, some schools don't allow any. You guys for football allow 7%. That was clearly quite different in South Bend. And you saw what happened I'm assuming you did at least, this past Saturday in a situation like that. And I'm willing to bet that no coach wants to put their guys in the situation of a court storming this year.
Jared, you're trying to get me to be a politician, and I refuse to get into it. I don't know. Listen, I get paid to be the coach. It's funny because we're gathering information for our team. And the reason why we're doing that is because I'm trying to let our guys know, because our schedule's been released. If we go to Michigan, how many can their parents come to the game? If we go to certain places, can that happen? It's different. I mean, we're in a pandemic. It's different from state to state. I understand that. Who am I to question how many people come to the game? We're gonna play the game whether it's an empty arena or if we got to play in front of 10,000. But that's not my position. Do I wish it was across the board? Probably not, because I don't know what states or how bad some of this stuff is in certain states. So I'm not in position to say that.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Schneneker.
Kevin, piggybacking a little bit on the fans question, looking at the schedule, it looks like you guys are playing that first MTE at Reynolds Coliseum. When you think about NC State basketball games at Reynolds Coliseum, you think about big crowds and a lot of noise. Obviously it'll be strange to play at PNC Arena without them too, but how strange would it be to play in a mostly empty Reynolds Coliseum?
Well, Andrew, I hope you listened to everything I'm going to tell you today, because you didn't believe me when I told you Manny Bates had put on some good weight, did you? Now everybody believes that now. That kid's stronger. And I see him on the call. You got to just thank Wes Moore for allowing me to play in Reynolds Coliseum. He's given the blessing for our team to play there. Will we miss it? Absolutely. That atmosphere is great. It's a perfect size arena. It's an arena that has, it's special to not only women's basketball, but men's basketball, because it's a legendary Reynolds Coliseum. Will we miss the crowds? Absolutely. But I love PNC also. We're fortunate enough to have two great arenas, one that holds a little over 5,000 and one that holds close to 22,000. And so I don't want to, as much as I love Reynolds, and I think Reynolds is always a great place, I don't want to obviously talk down on the place that we have called home for men's basketball for so long, which is the PNC. And so I'm going to miss the crowds anywhere, at both venues. But at the end of the day, we're going to have to try to create our own excitement with our own team.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mark.
Kevin, it obviously doesn't mean much of anything tangibly, but all the preseason picks out yesterday, you guys picked 8th. None of your players were recognized on the first or second team. Did you feel like that was equitable?
I feel like that's something that happens a lot. I'm still thinking about the fact how Manny Bates led the ACC in shot blocks, and he wasn't on the all defensive team. And so, here's the great thing about it, Mark. We had our day off yesterday when all that got released, and I never disturbed the guys on the day off. So I haven't had a chance to say anything to them about being pick 8 or Devin Daniels or DJ Funderburg or Braxton Beverly or, Jericho Helms or Thomas Allen, or none of you guys who are, older guys being chosen as preseason. Now, every coach in the country is going to tell you, man, preseason and where they pick you doesn't matter. And it doesn't at the end of the day, because you got to play the games and you're not going to win it before. But I got some guys with some pride that certainly I know it's going to bother them, and we're going to have some conversations about it.
Go ahead, Jonas.
Coach, I have 2 questions for you. First, I know you guys recently had a scrimmage in Reynolds. I want to ask you about that. Who stood out? Who caught your eye? Who did well? And then my second question is, you said you try to throw a light at Cam and Shaq to kind of make them uncomfortable. What type of situation have you put them in, and how have they responded to those uncomfortable situations?
Yeah, I'm trying to make them, they got to run an offense, and I try not to coach them as I'm running offense. I want them to be a bigger voice. Obviously I want them to take control of their team, and they struggle a lot because, as you guys know, when you're a freshman and you don't think you know as much, you don't talk as much. And so with those situations, I'm trying to get them to take control, put everybody in the right place that they can be. They're going to have an opportunity to play the toughest position in college basketball and they just happen to be young guys, which is the point guard position. And so I'm getting those. I'm trying to get those guys to get out of their comfort zone and be more of a leaders on the floor. It's tough when you're a freshman trying to command the huddle of a basketball team or a football team if you're the quarterback. And I'm trying to get those guys to empower them to know that they have the ability to take control and say the right stuff and get people in the right position and even yell at somebody, which freshmen typically don't do. As far as our scrimmage, it was a great scrimmage. I would say our veterans probably played better than our younger guys. That being said, I had some bright spots with our younger guys. I thought Shaquille Moore had a tremendous first half where I think he had 16 points. But because he's young and those guys don't know how to play an entire game now, he ended up with 19 points. When you look back at it, as great as I thought some guys played offensively, I didn't see the same thing on the defensive end. We had too many breakdowns. That's a tough thing. I thought DJ Funderburg was really good. In that particular scrimmage, Devin Daniels was probably the best player, which he should be because obviously it's a guard. It was more of a guard game, that particular game. And he did some good things. But it's tough, Jonas, when you're watching an inter-squad scrimmage because one team's going to do well and the other's not. So as a coach, who are you mad at? Are you mad at the team who played well or are you mad? It's just tough because – and so what I did after that is, as you guys know, after every game, we do good, bad, and ugly. We have a breakdown on film. And so, when we got back in the gym, we took off on Sunday. On Monday, we got in the gym and we watched film and I kind of separated the groups. And so I could break them down as here's what you did good, here's what you did bad, and here's where the things were so outrageous that we shouldn't even talk about. And so I thought it was very refreshing to see some of those guys be able to sit there and learn. We also try to do it as though it was a game situation because obviously I told you we don't have exhibition or scrimmages. And so we brought them in the night before on a Friday and we did film and we did scouting reports. And so it was funny for those guys to be able to see a scouting report of their own teammates. I just hope they didn't go back and tell the teammates what the other coach said about them, about their weaknesses.
Go ahead, Aaron Beard.
Hey, Kevin, I got a couple of bigger picture questions for you. First, regarding the ACC, last year, there was so much turnover. All the all-ACC guys had left from the previous year. There was a little bit more, uncertainty in that regard. More familiar faces back this year. Do you have a better handle on what to expect from the ACC as a whole this year in terms of, who's going to be really good, maybe a little bit less guessing on some of this?
No, I think it's still the same way. But one thing's consistent is they're great coaches in this league, always, and they're really good players. And we lost some good players, but we also have some really good returning players. And then I think every group has freshmen who are ready to come in and play. AAU has become so big over the years that typically these freshmen come in and they're not freshmen. They've already played so many games. I think it'll be different. You think about the great places, including NC State, but when you go to all the great venues with the home court advantage, how can you get your guys to play when there is no home court advantage? There is no fans. And so I think it will change a little bit how each game is played because let's say for us, we thrive off of getting the steal. We thrive off the making threes. You got to create your own excitement. There is no fan rush because of that. So college basketball in general will be different at away venues than it's been in the past.
Well, you got my second question with that, so nice job.
Hey, we've been dealing with each other so long. I know what you're going to ask before you ask.
All right, the last question for Coach Keatts will come from Andrew Schnittker.
Kevin, you talked about trying to get these freshmen settled in off the court and not having a lot of time in terms of scrimmages and whatnot to get ready. How much tougher does that become with what they're facing off the court as well, with everything that's been different so far about their college experience and getting adjusted to college where nothing is really normal for them?
I had the great opportunity to speak to a class earlier today, and these are be future leaders. And what I asked them to is, be able to adjust. There's nothing normal about what any of us have went through this year. And there will be nothing normal about what we go through for the rest of the year. And so what I've asked our guys is that you have to be able to adjust on the fly. I think back to our ACC tournament, we just beat Pitt, had a chance to play Duke again. And all of a sudden in the flash, it was gone. By the time we got back to Raleigh, the whole NCAA tournament was canceled. And so then we come back to school, we get back to school, we think we're gonna be in class, then everything has to be moved to online classes. We're not finished. There are gonna be a lot of bumps in the road. We're not like football, where football has 2 or 3 bye weeks. At any point, you can look on the internet and it's basketball programs that may have to stop play for a couple of weeks because of the fact of COVID-19. We could miss 5 or 6 games during that time. Most of our teams are scheduled to play 25 to 27 games. We're all lucky and fortunate if we get 13 to 15 games in. We're hopeful. And so I think the biggest thing that we've all had to deal with is change. You guys are doing it with your daily life. I'm doing it at home. My kids are online class. You don't get a chance to see people like you used to. It's tough. I've seen Wes Moore for the first time yesterday, and I haven't seen him in a while. He practiced over at our facility about 2 weeks ago, and I didn't have a chance to go down there and talk to him because I didn't want to, put his team in danger, and I didn't want him to put mine in danger. So we actually met up yesterday. You guys will respect this. This is inside news. We met up yesterday for the games at Reynolds so we could see how the court will be set up for the games. And it'll be a lot different than what you guys expect. See, Coach Keatts is giving you breaking news. Somebody can put that out there. Breaking news. Reynolds Coliseum will be set up different than it's ever been set up before. So I gave it to you. And Debbie, it's good to see you. Hope you're well. And always good to have former guys on here. Ernie, it's good to have you, even though you turn your screen off for me. And so next, guys, without further introduction, he doesn't make these appearances very often. And I don't know how many guys on here. Let me see. Hold on, Russ. I'm going to tell you. 27 guys are on this call. You guys are very fortunate to have the great Wes Moore address you about his team. Alicia Canane is one of the best players in the country. She could play for us. So with COVID.
Forget it.
No. Hey, mute your phone. I'm not finished introducing you. Because of the fact that we have things that are unusual this year, we are going to put a petition in that we let, there be co-ed basketball if we need it. And just think about, I want you to think about this, a front court of Manny Bates and Alicia Canane. That would be pretty good. One guy is blocking everything. She scores everything around the basket. She has made Wes Moore one of the best coaches in the country. He'll tell you he was good. He was a good coach up until he recruited that young girl, and I think she's from Greensboro. He should always be in debt to whoever her coach was and help develop her, because now he is on a national scene because of this young lady. So without further ado, the great Wes Moore. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Look at that. Hey.